All right, there you have it, Mark Pope, and let's transition from Mark Pope. I don't know how you transition from Mark Pope to Tony Bennett. Not an easy one to do, Rob, because you get one of the most fast-paced coaches in the country, likes to get up and down and shoot threes, to Tony Bennett, a guy who's now retired.
Yeah.
And, the other day when I got the news, I was in Vegas. And I got a text from somebody tipping me off.
You had to multitask here a little bit.
I did.
Want to take us through that whole process, here, Joe?
No, not really. But I do want to talk about, just a lot of people were texting me and being like, "Are you shocked?" And my response was, "I'm not shocked that Tony Bennett's out. I've been talking about it for 2 years, that he was going to be the next guy to go." And I'm not often right, but I was right on this one. I was surprised a little bit about the timing, right? 2 weeks before the season. And a lot of people were like, well, he did it just to get Ron Sanchez, his guy, the job. I don't think it was that at all. I think, Rob, it was more of the fact that, Tony Bennett's had some questions with certainly the way the game's gone. He thought he would start to feel better or just more excited as the season got closer. And instead, he never felt that, whatever that is in your heart, in your stomach, where you start to get excited about, hey, practices, the season, the scrimmages, the exhibitions, the game coming. He never started to feel that. And I think he just felt like, all right, you know what? If I can't give these players everything I have, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?
Yeah. But I take issue, and I have nothing but respect for Tony Bennett. I think he is a phenomenal coach. I think it's not good for the game that he's out because I know his character and what he's about. But I have an issue with, you recruited these transfers out of the portal, and you promised these kids that you will be their head coach. And you've I don't want to say abandoned that, but dude, you made a promise to them to give them a great experience at Virginia when they could have went anywhere.
Yeah.
They could have went anywhere they wanted to that was recruiting them. And they came to play for you. They didn't, it's a 1-year thing for these kids. They came to play for you. You sold the freshmen on your team. Yeah. They were coming to play for you.
Yeah, not
you recruited kids. That's where I really have an issue with that. And you know what? It's not a 10-year deal. Right. It's 6 months. Right. So if you made a commitment, I'm not trying to.
So you're saying he should.
I'm looking at this from the player's perspective. I'd be like, what the hell did I come here for if I transferred in?
Oh, I'm sure they're pissed. I would be upset.
You're coming. The school is a part of it. Your teammates are part of it, but the head coach is a huge part of it. I don't like that aspect of this. And it's not like he was signed up. He could easily hang it up in April. You have 6 months to get through. Right. And it's his life, and you can only get to do this thing once. So I get it. But if you've made commitments to multiple people on your team, I just feel like you need to honor that. I really don't love the way that this went down for his players.
And I hear you, because now you've gotten through the tougher part, right? The tougher part is
the NIL stuff's over. Now it's just coach the team you have. And if you want to be done, say this. You could even announce, this is my last season. I don't, they can start working on whoever's going to be the next coach of Virginia. But that's why I don't know. I don't like this. I don't like the way this happened.
I don't love it either. Listen, I don't love it either. And I think the reason why, frankly, not a lot of people have taken shots at him. I think Pat Forty wrote a story that kind of took some shots at him a little bit.
But I didn't think it was unfair. I didn't think what Pat Forty said was unfair.
I guess because of who Tony Bennett is.
No, but you can be a great person and still do something where you're like, man, I don't like the way this went down for his guys. I think Tony Bennett is a great guy, but I don't like this. I don't like this for his players. And it wasn't like he was locked into coach for the next 10 years.
In a way. You think
I do. Yes, I do.
I go back and forth on it. I actually probably go the other way more and just say, like, hey, if his heart isn't into it, if you're TJ Power or one of these kids, do you want him coaching you if he's really not invested?
But he sold you on come play for me.
But things change, Bob. But things change. At that point, he's maybe a little bit more all in, and now a few weeks away from the start of the season.
But you think it's okay to just back out of your commitments? Like, we would just crush players when they would decommit back in the day. Yeah. No. You think that's setting a good example?
No,
it's not.
I don't.
He committed to this team that I will coach you. I'm one of the best coaches in college basketball. Come play for me. We'll win games. And then 2 weeks before the season, he leaves. Again, I think Tony Bennett is great. Yeah. I wish him all the happiness in the world. I just don't like the way this went down for his players. I think if I was in that situation, I would be furious.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't talked to some of the players over there yet, but you wonder if they're more on your side or more understanding of, hey, listen, you know what?
Especially the transfer portal kids.
Yeah.
That is some BS, in my opinion.
Yeah, because you probably could have gotten more money. I don't think Virginia has crazy NIL. So my guess is a lot of these kids passed on more NIL. But
it's not even about that. It's about like, dude, I went to play for Tony Bennett. He's won a national title. He's one of like 5 coaches nationally that can say they have won the big game. I want to go play for him. Well, he's not there anymore.
Hall of Famer? I say yes. I mean,
yeah, I think so. I mean, the national title, so few have it. I think you win that, you're pretty much locked.
And he dominated the league for so long. We've
playing like taking Virginia to hang with the Dukes and the Carolinas and the big dogs of the ACC and make Virginia, on the same level for multiple years. Yeah, I think so.
It's funny because, in a way he'll get hammered, right? And he has gotten hammered because other than that national title, they've had some missteps, certainly in the NCAA tournament. A lot of it due to the fact of their playing style and their personnel. Do you feel like he's kind of gotten his flowers and will get his flowers? Or do you feel like a lot of people are just like, all right, you know what? I'm not sure if the sport's going to miss him that much because we don't want to watch those 52-49 games.
I mean, the wins speak for themselves, though. Like, to me, I just think it just shows that in the game of basketball, you can play so many different ways and figure out ways to scheme and win. But at the same time, like his team that won it all had really good players.
Yes.
I mean, like Kyle Guy and Ty Jerome and DeAndre Hunter, like those guys are good. No, I think he'll get his flowers. I mean, again, the national championship, there's so few people who have actually won it that I think that he has to. Regardless of what you think about his style of play, you have to respect the success he had amongst the big dogs in college basketball.
It's funny. I was just thinking about it. I'm like, kind of the unwillingness to adapt, right? Both on and off the court, right? Like on the court, he's not changing who he is and his system and his style and all that and the pack line defense. Yeah. And certainly the offense that got criticized.
But I thought that the year they won it, their offense was fun to watch. The wheel stuff with those guys flying off screens. And yeah, they were methodical, but like, again,
move the ball.
Coaching is so much of a lot of it is who are your players? Like what's Phil Jackson if he doesn't have great players? What's John Wooden if he doesn't have great players? But at the same time, yeah, he was committed to saying like we're going to shorten the game. We're not going to give up transition baskets. We're going to be methodical on offense. And we're going to stop the ball when you drive. And if you can make threes, you can beat us because we are going to be in there to help.
Yeah. I mean, listen, again, to me, it's some people are fighting back on this and saying, well, look, Dan Hurley stayed in college instead of going to the Lakers. This isn't an indictment. Tony Bennett retiring early is not an indictment on college basketball. I disagree. I vehemently disagree because Tony Bennett would still be here. Jay Wright would still be here if the landscape weren't changing with so many questions surrounding it right now. I'm afraid Mark Few's going next.
But I think the schedule too. They do not get off time. Like that, you have to literally recruit year round. The portal is year round. It is a grind for these coaches.
So, all right, here's one for you. And this is going to be all right. So, I'm hitting you with this with no preparation. So, you're probably not going to have a good answer for me. But if Ron Sanchez does not work out, if Ron Sanchez does not work out as the interim and they don't win enough, I think he's got to get to the tournament, right? Like at least has to get to the tournament, has to be competitive in the top third of the ACC to be able to keep this job. And Sanchez was Tony Bennett's right-hand man at Washington State, at Virginia, went to Charlotte, was solid at Charlotte and then came back recently. Do you have another name? Do you have somebody, a name that's been thrown out like Ryan Odom, is one name that makes some sense. He's at VCU, obviously.
Yeah,
On
just down the
BC,
road.
he beat Virginia. So
Right.
that's a name that if VCU wins the A10 like they're expected to do, he could be in the mix. Do you have another name for somebody that like fits? Because Virginia's a job you have to fit personality.
What about Bob Ritchie, Furman?
Yep, it's a good
I mean,
name.
he beat him too, but
Good name.
I just think the job he's done at Furman, they've won NCAA tournament game. Yeah, I would. I don't know. Like, can Virginia pick off a high major coach? Like, I guess
I have a great name. I have a great name that I'm not sure it's been mentioned. All right. It was thrown at me by somebody just recently. I'm not going to say who, but it's intriguing. Do you know who graduated from Virginia in 1992?
Did he play basketball there?
She did.
Oh, who?
Don Staley.
Oh, wow. That would be definitely very interesting.
Right? I mean,
she's won at the highest level in her sport.
If there's a woman who I think could coach men's basketball and break that barrier in college, and I'm not sure it would happen. I have no idea. Again, I'm throwing it out there because I thought it was highly intriguing. And the first woman's name that I've heard that I was like, you know what?
No,
if there's somebody that could do it, Rob. If there's one person that could do it, it would be Don Staley.
My only question for her would be: you've built South Carolina into a juggernaut. Like, do you really want to leave that? But if she's looking for a new challenge, absolutely.
It's your alma mater. It's
I get that.
It's your alma mater, and you can break a barrier.
Yeah,
I just think she's so well respected as a player, as a coach. That would be, I don't know. That would be highly.
No, I don't dislike that. I think that would be really interesting and would.
How hard? Okay, so I don't know how honest you can be with this, but I'm going to ask you, like, as a player, how hard it would be, how different it would be to have a woman.
I think as long as she knew her stuff, which clearly she does, it would not be a problem.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be an issue at all.
And we're seeing it in the NBA, not as head coaches, but there's a ton of women.
No, yeah. I mean, look at Becky Hammonds, and like, there's been plenty of women assistant coaches there. What do you think about Bucky McMillan?
He won't come all the way. Like, I think he's more of a South Carolina, Tennessee. Like, I don't know if he comes all the way up to Virginia. I don't know. But Bucky ball's entertaining.
No, I just think it's different. Like, they play with crazy pace, they press. Like, it would be the anti-Tony Bennett. It would be totally different. But it would give you kind of a niche in a league where you probably have to be different to beat the Carolinas and the Dukes. Now, is it a good idea to take the most athletic teams and talented teams in your league and play them to a crazy up and down game? Probably not. That's probably not. Like, Tony was negating that, right? Like, he was saying we can't run with these guys because of who they are. No, who can, right? Like, they have the best players. So yeah, what about I like the Dawn Staley thing. I think that's
isn't that? I mean,
no, I do.
Name. I have not heard her name by.
Yeah. What do you think of, like, from a high major? Because we've mentioned, Bob Ritchie, Bucky McMillan are mid-major coaches who have had success at their schools. But is there a high major candidate that you can think of that would be, I don't even know, like a. Andy Enfield went from USC to SMU, like that type of move where it's like more of a, not that SMU is a lateral move from USC, it's definitely a step down, but is there a lateral play where you could see somebody just resetting the clock, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I'm sure there is, because Virginia is still a coveted job.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because it's in the ACC, because they've had success. Because, again, I just feel like it's one of those where you have to bring in somebody, a high character person.
Well, the academics there too are insane. Like, Virginia is no joke.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of, like, who else, to me that makes sense. I think you got to let this thing shake out and see what happens this year at several places.
No, there's no doubt. I was just thinking of high major coaches. Is there anybody that would really make sense to come over? But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I don't know at this point. I haven't given it a ton of thought yet. But well, listen, that was fun with Pope. It was like story time. We didn't get to some other stuff, but we didn't want to,
the sledding thing is pretty funny.
That was
I'm glad it wasn't during the NCAA tournament.
It's insane, isn't it?
That is hilarious.
11 o'clock at night, the night before the NCAA.
Well, and the fact that you're not just sledding, but you're standing up on a sled.
Yeah.
You're surfing down the hill.
Right. No, it's crazy. But kids, dumb kids. That's what it comes down to. You did some dumb things in college. I know you
might have, but maybe I didn't. You never know.
We still need that. We need your college teammates on here
to be rats.
The untold stories.
To be rats.
Yes, to be rats.
They're good people. I don't think they'd rat on me.
Oh, I think
they definitely would. They would turn. Especially, I've been pretty critical of Ryan Smith's football knowledge. He does not know football, but he thinks he does. So
all it would take was one to get the ball rolling, and I think everybody would.
The floodgates.
Right.
The floodgates would open. You brought my high school teammates on here, and they were very kind. They could have been much worse.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't know. Maybe we get Payne on to start it out. Like Payne probably knew everything that you did.
It did feel like Coach Painter was like God. Like you went out, you're like, he knows. He definitely knows. He's like God of West Lafayette, dude. He knew everything.
All right, we got less than 2 weeks left for the season. I think next week might be the week we do our annual draft, Rob. And I have
after dominating you for 2 straight years.
No, 1 year. What do you mean?
I think I won 2 years ago too.
2 years ago, you took Amani with like the 3rd pick.
Yeah, look at him balling in the NBA. It was a long play.
It's a long play. He's in the G League, by the way.
He's gained like 40 pounds, I read. He's looking ready.
Good. I'm glad for him. So, all right, listen, thanks for joining us, Goodman and Hummel Pod. Make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe, and hope you had fun listening to that episode. And we'll see you next week.